Let's do it. Yells, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to your home studio Q&A here on Studio Live today. Episode number 70. Lucky 70. I don't know why it's lucky. If it's your first time here, this is our weekly show where we try to answer all of your questions. And the reason I say we, no, there's not multiple me's, is that we've got the folks here in the chat on YouTube and on Facebook. And let's be honest, they answer more questions than I do. So if you've got a question, please, you've got a couple of ways. The easiest way is to throw it in the form. That's linked right there in the chat. That's at home studio. No, it's not. It's at studiolivetoday.com/QA. You can leave your questions there, and I will jump into that form in just a moment. Or you can just throw it here in the chat like Mr. Greg Hernandez has done. Let's get kicked off. Let's jump straight into the questions this week. We've got a lot to get through. So, Greg has a question. What is everything I'll need to upgrade the studio from Lightning to USB-C device, such as iPad Pro 2020? Have the Steinberg UR44C, which has the small end USB-C port. Yes, cool. So there's a couple of things you can do here. The beauty of USB-C as opposed to Lightning is that you can plug it directly in. So your Steinberg UR44, because it's AC powered, it doesn't require any power. You plug that into the wall, you get your iPad Pro, you get a USB-C cable, you plug it from your iPad to your interface, and you're away. That's great if you only have one thing to plug in, but what if you want to plug in multiple things? Well, that's where you'll need an adapter, a hub, something like that. Now, the Apple one, I'll just unplug mine here because I've got it plugged into my iPad right now. This one here is the Apple version. So this has a USB-C at this end, and it has USB, HDMI, and USB-C at this end. This just goes into your iPad, and then you can plug in. And the cool thing about that is you can plug into your monitor as well, like all built into that. Now, this is about a $60 device because it's genuine Apple. It's good quality. It works well every time. But the beautiful part about USB-C is that you can actually use anything you like because it is a generic standard. Unlike the regular Lightning stuff, which is all Apple. If you're buying Lightning gear, you should buy the genuine Apple version. So if you're getting a Lightning to USB 3 adapter, I've always told you, go out and save yourself the hassle and get yourself the genuine one. But the beautiful part of USB-C, generic standard, you can use anything. So I've got a bunch of others made by Cable Creation and other companies, and they have other things. So you get some that have like 3 USB ports and HDMI, headphone jacks. There's all sorts of different variations that you can get, and pretty much any of them will work. The other thing you can do, if you've already got a powered USB hub, all you need to do is convert your USB-C for your iPad over into regular USB and then plug it into your hub. So all I did with my setup here, that cable you saw just has one USB that goes out to my powered hub. That just has everything plugged in, my Steinberg interface, my mouse and keyboard, and my MIDI keyboard when I'm using it. So hopefully that helps you out with that one. We'll jump into some more questions in just a moment, but as you can probably see, it's cold enough here to finally wear my hoodie. And if you want to get yourself a Studio Live Today hoodie or t-shirt or mug, you can jump over to studiolivetoday.com/merch. And let's just say you're brought to you today by my hoodie. So and it's very super comfy, super warm. I love hoodies that have the all the way through pockets. So yeah, if you like to put your hands in your pockets and stay toasty warm and walk around and confuse people who won't know what Studio Live Today is and show your Studio Live Today love, you may go ahead and do so. Let's jump into the next question. Nerf Planet says, how do you get rid of background noise while using the audio recorder? I can't get my microphone to stop recording my air conditioner in the wind outside. Very good question, and a common one that many folks come across. So background noise is a pain in the butt. If you're just using, say, the microphone on your iPhone or iPad, or even if you're plugging in a microphone and using something else, it's there. Number one, it's kind of like risk management, yeah? So the number one thing that you want to try and do is eliminate. So before you work on, sorry, I'm just trying to plug back in my USB cable. There we go. So before you start using anything fancy and before you start working on anything from the software side, see how you can remove that sound. So the way to do that is to turn everything off, turn off your computers with your fan, try to turn off your air conditioner if it's not too hot, and try to turn off anything that's going to be creating a humming noise or a buzzing noise or any sort of background wind type noise. Try and remove it. Then try and get as far away from that noise as possible. So get yourself into a built-in, I've got a closet over there. That's where I do some vocal recording because it's quiet, or get yourself into the quietest environment in your house. And then make sure that you're using your microphone in the best possible way. So most microphones will reject noise at the back and they'll pick up your sound. It's kind of like a mushroom that goes around the front. So make sure that you're utilizing that, rejecting the sound from the back and pointing the back of your microphone away from the sound, towards the sound, so that the capsule is as far away from the sound as you possibly can. After that, it's about the quality of your gear. So if you're using, say, the built-in mic, that's going to pick up a lot more noise. If you upgrade to a USB microphone or an audio interface with a microphone plugged in, you're going to get a lower noise floor. You're going to get less noise and what we call a quieter preamp, because your preamp is the preamplifier in your microphone. If that turns it up and if it adds noise when it turns it up, that's what's going to cause those problems. So there's a few tips there. There's some videos over on the channel too. So if you search my name and reduce noise, I think let's do a quick test run, because we always like to jump over and show you where you can get the info. So there you go. If you jump over here, you go Pete John's Reduce Noise. We've got a bunch of there. You've got noise reduction tips, and then you've got some of the software and plugins that you can use as well, such as Bruce Free. But if you want the main definition, that one there. Why is there hiss? Because I do get this question a lot. How do you remove that background noise and that hiss from your recordings? Hello to the folks who are here live. I'm going to do a quick roll call. We've got Tom here, Mark, your Nerf Planet, Arnie G's in the house. Gary Hubbs is here. We've got Bubba here. We've got James Kimball, Blueser, Gary Hubbs. I think you got twice back, Gary. Kim, hello to you. Tom Richel. I'm just trying to find if we've got Alex Backus, SM Borthwick, Synth Widow. Hey, Joe. Hello to Joe Glenn as well. And I think I've covered everyone. No, Tromboli. Hello to you. And Barry Glenn, of course, in here. Is that a casting couch back there? No, it's the crappiest old blue couch. It's our old couch, and I'm thinking of replacing it with my drum kit, to be honest. It's there because there's nowhere else for it, but I also have nowhere for my drums. So I'm seriously considering ousting the couch. It used to have another one that got ousted, and then we got a new one. Maybe the blue couch needs to go. Let me know. Shall I replace the blue couch with drums? I've got to convince my wife that we don't need that couch. It's pretty crappy, let's be honest. That we can replace it with a drum kit. Much more practical for the home studio, right? All right, let's jump over into the form now and grab any of the questions that have been coming in over here. And we will start. We'll start at the beginning. It's a very good place to start. Right, this one is from Jesse, and Jesse has a question that is such. On GarageBand, when I record a guitar, there's the noise gate, but it never filters out the noise when I play guitar, even if it's maxed out. How do I get around this? A lot of times I just use direct input with no effects. Now, this is a good follow-on question from the one we just had around your noise. So why don't we show you a couple of the options here in GarageBand. Let's just make sure that my GarageBand is working here, and we'll turn up the volume, hit play button. There we are. So we'll be able to hopefully use one of these guitars as a bit of a demo for you. Oh, we don't do that. We'll grab... Oh, come on, Pete. Get your stuff together, son. So let's grab one of these guitars and see. Now, I record using a Steinberg UR22C directly in through the DI in that, which is actually super clean. So what you're probably going to find is that these guitars, when they're not playing, you're not going to be hearing much. But let's oh, there's a bit before there. Let's stretch that out so that we can hear the guitar with nothing. I've turned the volume right up and hit play. Yeah, so that one we're not going to hear. What if we use one of the distorted guitar tones? Maybe these rich harmonics might have a little bit more noise behind it. Let's hit play. Nope. Clean as a whistle. So this is going to be hard to demonstrate, but I'll still show you the basic fundamentals here. So we'll come back to this guitar, and I'll just center it so that you can hear it in the middle, in stereo. Congratulations to Doug Woods, by the way, who got his stereo working on the sound test room today. Very happy to see that. Let's hit play. So you can't hear much there, right? There's not much sound there. There's two options that you have here. Noise gates will actually turn off the sound, but only when nothing's playing. So if you consider a noise gate, and I've actually got it on here, that's probably why I'm not hearing any sound. Let's turn the noise gate off and see if we can hear a little bit more background noise, shall we? We'll hit play. Yeah, there you go. So without the noise gate on, we're hearing a little bit more of that noise. And as you turn down the threshold of the noise gate, you'll hear less of that noise. In fact, what I'll do, I'll play the guitar and you'll see what's actually happening here. Let's go play. So we're actually getting it to turn the guitar off there while we're playing. So that all the noise gate is doing is that when there's nothing playing or when there's a quiet sound, so just the little fiddling around that we had at the start here, it's turning that down. Now the built-in noise gate here is okay, but whenever I'm using a noise gate, I actually use the Nembrini noise gate. It's free and it works a lot better. So if we come in here, this one here, the Nembrini analog rack noise gate. The reason I use this one, no thank you, I've already done all that. The reason I use this one is that you have a threshold similar to the first one, so you can dial in the point where you want the sound to cut off, but you also have a range here. So instead of it just cutting off all the sound, you can actually give it a range. So it will just turn down the sound when nothing's actually playing. So I've got a video on this one. If you search again, Pete John's noise gate, you'll find the video on both the original noise gate and this noise gate here. Now, if you're finding that you've got so much background noise that even when you're playing the guitar, you're hearing that sound, well then the plugin that we're going to recommend, say it with me folks, is Bruce Free, which is a Clev Grand app. It's about a $15 app, but it is worth every penny, I promise you. Once you add Bruce Free to a track, all you need to do is hit this little ear button, and what Bruce Free does is it learns what background noise you're getting in your signal, and then it removes them, not only just from the bit beforehand, but from the actual playing. So this is why it's actually magic secret sauce. So let's turn off the noise gate, and we'll try and, I'll try and turn this up really loud so that we can hear. So we'll grab my clip gain. Let's go up to 12 plus 12 dB and see if we can actually get this really loud. All right, so that's super loud now, and you can hear there's that sort of faffing about there at the start. We can turn the noise gate off and it will take that away, but what if we want to get rid of that noise during the actual playing? Well, what we can do is we can come into Bruce Free, like so. We can hit play, and we'll quickly hold this learn button for about 1 or 2 seconds. How's that? It's gone. In fact, it's gone completely. What happened there? It took away the background noise and then it took away the whole sound. Let's try that again because that was not supposed to happen. The joy of live. Learn the sound. Let go. Done. Well, that's a disturbing. Maybe it's because it's so loud. Let's turn this back down. I think it's probably clipping the audio because I turned it up so loud now that it's not doing anything. Let's play it again. Make sure it's. So there it is. It's working. And then if we go back to Bruce Free, we turn it on and we hit play. Okay, we've got some sort of issue here with this app. It's very, as SM Borthwick's saying here, wow, that's a very effective noise reducer. It always happens this way when you do things live. You just get these things. And what I always say, we're talking about this recently with Jade and with Doug and with some other folks doing live streams. You just go with it, right? So the best thing to do, this is actually a good tip. So what I'm going to do now, just come back over to my head, I'm going to close out. So this is what I do. If you're having this sort of issue, close all your apps, start again. So close the apps, go back into GarageBand, I'm loading it afresh, and then go back into your project. If that doesn't work, then go and restart your device. Turn it off and on again. It is the universal fix, and it's the universal fix for a reason, because it fixes them. Let's just see if I turn Bruce Free on, if it's going to work. No, it's doing that glitch thing. It's doing that glitch audio thing. So I've done something here that's caused on that track to glitch out like that. It will happen from time to time, and you'll need to problem shoot. Problem shoot, that's a new word. You'll need to troubleshoot and solve for that, because for whatever reason, Bruce Free is not working there at the moment. I'm going to remove it. Let's just try it one more time with feeling, because we've got some time here today. So here's the track again. I've taken Bruce Free off now, and we'll hit play. So here is my guitar. You can hear it. And what we should be able to do is go add audio unit extensions, Bruce Free. Where are you, Bruce Free? There. Bruce Free, and tap on this one. Okay, so now it's working. It's playing with Bruce Free enabled. Let's try this one more time. And again, this is good learning for troubleshooting. Hopefully it's going to work. Let's try. Nope. I promise you, 99% of the time that I use Bruce Free, it works like a charm. Why don't we try it on the vocals real quick, just to make sure it's not just that one, because it may just be that one guitar track that's so loud that it's glitching it out. Let's try this vocal track here. We'll take that one away, and then we'll move on, I promise. So, unfortunately, the vocals are super clean here. Oh, no, see, now it's... now it's got the problem where it's completely shut down my audio. Okay, I know when I'm defeated. We'll come out of here, we'll close off, and we'll try again. When we have the next question that we need to do something, we'll try again, and we'll see if it's happening. Sometimes you just have one of those days. I probably need to do a restart. But it's good, right? It's actually good to see that these things happen to everyone. You're not the only one that has optimizing performance or has audio glitching issues where it just craps itself. Yeah, and as Jade's saying, I've never seen that happen before. Not with Bruce Free. I've seen it happen with other apps and with other plugins. I've never seen Bruce Free have that issue before. So you probably won't experience it, but yeah, there you go. Missing an update? Possibly. Maybe I need to go in and redo things. But that's okay. Again, I can vouch for it, and many other people I'm sure can as well, that Bruce Free is exceptionally good when it works, which is most of the time. I've not actually come across that before. But yeah, there you go, Jesse. That will give you some tips and ideas about how to reduce that noise. Let's move on. Raja's got our next question. Why GarageBand iOS always doing optimizing audio? Please wait. Every time it does, I had to wait until it finishes. Another issue, it says plugin not installed on the device while the plugin is available on the device. This is not cool. So let's jump back over here. Optimizing performance. What is it and how do you avoid it? Well, what I will say to that is that I have done a video in the past. Let's see if we can find it. I'll just grab a tab and jump over here. So if you want to learn all about optimizing performance, let's go to youtube.com and let's go to me, Pete Johns, optimizing performance. And here's a weird thing. Here in Australia, we spell it with an S, but I cater for my US friends by spelling it with a Z. And I even see the word Z, not Z. But yeah, you can check out that video. It's got 5 tips to avoid optimizing performance. Touching on them quickly here. Basically, you want to do what I was doing before. You want to make sure that anything you're using, if you're using other apps, that you're closing them down. So optimizing performance basically means you've run out of memory or you've run out of processing power on your device. Now, since I've updated this, the iPad Pro 2020, guess what? Haven't seen optimizing performance. And the same goes on both my iPhone XS and my new iPhone 12 Pro. However, on my 6S, my iPhone 6S and my iPad Air 2, optimizing performance out the wazoo. That rhymes. Maybe we should do a rhyming book all about optimizing performance. But here's the thing. Yeah, if you're trying to push your stuff too hard, so if you've got a bunch of different tracks and every track's got a bunch of effects and every track's got a bunch of different takes and cuts, GarageBand is having to process that, and it's having to use the processor and the memory on your device to process it. And every time you tweak, every time you come in here and you grab your EQ and you give it a little tiny tweak, it's having to recalibrate and reprocess that and replay it. So what optimizing performance does is it renders out every track individually. It goes, take this guitar, take this bass, take this, and renders them down to individual AIF files to play back. That means it doesn't have to use as much processing power to process all the effects because it's baked them in. It's the equivalent of freezing tracks if you've used that in other DAWs, but it does it all automatically. The problem there is when you then go in and start adding effects or adding plugins or changing things, then it will go back and have to optimize again if it once again runs out of memory. How do you get more memory? Well, apart from buying a new device, exactly what I said before. So go in and remove any apps, turn off background app refresh. And one of the easiest things to do and simplest is to just go into the top here and go into airplane mode. This one here. That will turn off your 4G connection and it will stop things from using any network stuff. If you're just creating music, you don't need your iPad or your iPhone online. You just need it to be able to have as much processing power and attention as possible. There's also a section within settings, which is your background app settings. So if we come in here and we go background app refresh and go in here, what you can do is turn this off. So background app refresh means that there may be apps running in the background, like your weather app or, I don't know, whatever you're using, Spotify, that will actually run them in the background. If you turn that off for either all or go in and turn off individual ones, then that's actually going to help you out as well, because it won't be using any memory or any processing power to run those background apps. All of your memory and processing power can be focused in on GarageBand. So there you go. Tip number one with optimizing performance is get a more modern device with more memory. That will actually save you some of that. And tip number two is turn off anything that doesn't need to be using. Basically try and free up as much space and much memory as you possibly can. The other question you had with that was about your plugins. If you're getting that error that plugins are not installed and you come in here, there's two things that can happen basically. One of them is it says plugins not installed. You come in here and they're all missing. So all of your plugins are gone. There's nothing in this panel. Then you need to restart. So you need to basically close everything again, turn off, turn back on again, and that generally fixes it. If it doesn't, there's another setting that you can go to here in the settings app, which is down here in the GarageBand settings under settings. We'll just find it for you and show you down here. GarageBand, and there's a reset GarageBand, this one here. Don't use it unless you have to. I'm not going to do it here, but if you turn that on, the next time you open GarageBand, it'll reset it back to its default settings, which means you will have to change things like your keyboard note labels and these. So you'd have to come back in here and change some of these and make sure that you turn back on 24-bit audio in your GarageBand. But it's worth it because it should fix any of those problems. So come in here, also go to your advanced, make sure you got this stuff turned back on if you were running it before. But that's a couple of tips and some things that will hopefully help you out. Let us go to our next question, which is here. Once again, studiolivetoday.com/QA. That will get you into the QA. See what I did there? Got a bit more energy today because it's an hour later. Hello to Kim Harden Hudson, says, hi Pete, do you know if I can legally use a picture of an iPhone with a cracked screen for the cover art on my next song? It won't be showing an Apple logo, but it's pretty obvious it's an iPhone. Not sure if I get any trouble with Apple. Don't want that. What do you think? Thank you. A really good question. I'll come back over here. Really good question. So, here's the thing. The Apple, I would go, anytime you can go generic, I would, but Apple may own their logo and they own things like the copy. Like if you tried to make a phone that was actually the same, like if you tried to make a phone that was exactly the same shape and use the same design as an iPhone, then obviously you'd be in trouble. But once you buy an iPhone, you own it. So what I wouldn't use that as a picture in anything, and I don't because it's got the Apple logo there on the back of my case. But I've got plenty of things where it's me going, you know, those goofy YouTube pictures, pointing at a thing. Yeah, that's the sort of thing that you can do. So an iPhone with a cracked screen, I don't know. I'll put it out there to the chat here. If anyone thinks that would be a problem, I don't think so. I've definitely seen people using their iPhone or iPad as a prop in cover art, and it hasn't had any problems. If you want to be super safe and go generic, then use some sort of generic phone picture and replace it with that. But I think you would be absolutely fine. I would do it, and I'm a pretty conservative dude. So I would suggest that you'll actually be fine with that. But what do you reckon? Anyone else that's got experience, or maybe we've got any copyright lawyers in the house that can help us out? But yeah, I think you'd be totally fine. My 2 cents. All right, let's continue on here and go to our next question, which comes from Paul Askew. Has anyone ever Googled askew? I'm going to show you this just now. If you've never done it, like I know it's old news and most of you would have done it and most of you would know what we're talking about here. But if you go to google.com, you know the search engine Google, and you actually Google the word askew. Let's show you this here now. It does something cool. It works on mobile too. Askew. And you go askew, like so. Oh, it does. Why is it not doing it? Oh, it has. It's slightly, yeah. It's hard to see there. Oh, you can see it easier on this screen. But look at that. If you Google askew, chunk, yeah, it does that. And it's pretty cool. And there's a whole bunch of different Google hacks and things you can do. I'm getting super distracted. Maybe I should not do that. I hope it doesn't leave everything askew now. If I go back to YouTube, is it going to be askew? No, that's okay. We've got a question from Paul Askew. Sorry, Paul. Is there a way to get continuous guitar feedback in GarageBand? Whoa, got guitar guys going on here. There. So guitar feedback is tricky because without an amplifier, because guitar feedback is when you're getting a feedback loop, right? It's the hum of your pickups sending their audio back into your amplifier and it feeding back. It's that feedback loop that creates the feedback sound. Now, when you're using your phone or your tablet and you're using a guitar plugged in, clearly there's not going to really be that. Yeah, it's not going to give you feedback. It's not going to provide that feedback loop. So yeah, the short answer is no. What you can do, though, there are a lot of apps and a lot of GarageBand plugins that do generate feedback. Usually you don't want it, but some that'll actually do it. It's not quite as cool. It's not that kind of varied feedback where, you move your guitar around, you can get that sort of Nirvana sound. Yeah, okay. No one sampled that and put it in a song. But you can still get some pretty good feedback from some of the apps. So probably ToneBridge would be the one if you want something for free that I'd suggest. Try using ToneBridge and recording with that. We'll come over here. So you can try out just some of the actual GarageBand amps themselves. In fact, let's just come in here and we'll turn on. This track's causing me all the problems, but for some reason I keep coming back and using it. So if we go that and we monitor the track, yeah, it's probably not going to work because I don't have a guitar plugged in. So we're not going to hear any sound at all. But depending what you actually add in here and which one you do, some of these distorted tones, and I'll turn the volume down so we don't blow our ears up. If we hit the button there, yeah, no, I'm not going to hear it because it's not going to be. But yeah, when you've got a guitar plugged in, you can usually get some background sort of hum before you play. If you just leave your guitar like with the strings open without any sort of muting sound down, then you usually get like a like that. So you can try that. The other ones are things like ToneBridge. So if we come in here, audio unit extensions, something like ToneBridge, which you can add on there, and then you can add in whatever sort of one you want. What was I using here? Oasis, Don't Look Back in Anger. I don't know why I was playing that. But if you came in here to like go search for Nirvana, and then you just find like the Lithium maybe, it might be a nice one that's going to have a lot. And then if you turn the effect volume up, then it's going to start. Turn the effect volume up, the noise gate down, and see how it's got prevent feedback? Turn that off, it's going to let any feedback ring through that you're using in there. So that's another option that I would recommend checking out if you want to get some feedback. But it's a good question because it's weird. Some of the things that we've spent all this time trying to remove and not get in our sound anymore, and now we want to get it back. It's a catch-22, isn't it? It's a bit strange. Let's move on from that one, but thank you, Paul. And sorry that your name made me go off on that weird Google tangent. Yeah, fun times. Mr. Gary Hubbs says, hi, Pete. I want to use my cassette to 3.5mm adapter in the stock tape deck of my sweet vintage Rye, but my phone only has a lightning jack. What do I need to buy that I can rock out to Chandler Brothers in the Trans Am? Ah, Gary, I love it. I love it when we get the random curveball questions. So this came about because I was chatting with Gary and I think Russ the other day, and we were getting all nostalgic. Let's see if we can find it here. We'll find it here in Google. Because did anyone use these? They were a tape deck. Like you plugged it in. Remember your old car stereo tape deck where you put the tape in sideways? There was one of those that had a 3.5mm adapter on the end. I'm going to try and find it. 3.5mm cassette adapter. I'll show you what we're talking about here. Yeah, these things here. These ones. They're like a tape, and they've got a 3.5mm adapter on the side of it. Let's see if we can go to images, if we can get one up a bit bigger. Yeah, they look just like this one here. So you've got a tape, and it's actually got reels in there and everything. And it somehow sends the signal via a 3.5mm jack through the tape, and it's like, actually, there's no tape in there, but it's got the same magnetic stuff, and it's spinning that stuff around there. Here goes, wish.com. I'm sure it will work like a dream at wish.com. But yeah, we were talking about, yeah, look at that. It's no tape, but it's just got the same thing in there that's sending the same messages to the tape heads so that you can play it. So yeah, we were talking about this the other day, and we were reminiscing and getting nostalgic about the days where if you wanted to have a CD player in your car, but you didn't want to spend all that sweet cash, but you had a portable, you had a Discman, you had your portable CD player, you would get yourself one of these, and you're like, check it out, dude. CD player in my ride. Am I right? So yes, if you want to get your latest Chandler Brothers or Indigo Sunsets CD to play in your car or you're going to play it from your phone, you can go about that. And to answer the serious part of that question, of course, you can get a Lightning to 3.5mm dongle or a USB-C to 3.5mm dongle. If you do want a headphone jack on your device, again, I'd buy the genuine Apple ones. They're about $10, $15 here in Australia. Yes, it's a lot to pay for a tiny piece of white plastic, but it will get you going forever. Tom says, I never had one, but knew lots of people who did. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Sit on a sponge on the dashboard. Sit on a sponge on the dashboard. There you go. We knew that was coming back in the 90s. Yep. Yeah, and we were also talking, there were always, I always carry a pencil, absolutely, Joe. You always needed to have a pencil so that you could do the tape reel thing, because if your tape spooled out and you stuck it in there, it would get jammed in the heads and no good. So yeah, a pencil had to be the pencil that was a hexagonal shape, and you'd stick that in there and roll it around, or the end of a Bic pen sometimes worked. Ah, reminiscence. And yeah, the other one was the FM adapter. We talked about these. I think they got banned here eventually, but the little FM adapters where you plug the 3.5mm into this little adapter and then it actually sent a radio signal and you press the scan button and it would try and find an FM frequency that an actual radio station wasn't using, and then it would play through that. Yeah. Gary Hub said, until 2020, I used one. A little bit behind the curve. All right, but thank you, Gary. That was a lot of fun. And if you have any other fun questions, like we don't have to always be serious. Like, yes, we like to help you reduce noise and reduce optimizing performance and get the best out of your recordings, but sometimes just have a bit of fun, right? Martin Hammer, hello to you. Good to hear from you as always. Question, is the noise reduction first or last in the mixer section? Good question. Very good question. And the answer, like most things in music and audio, is it depends. I won't actually put Bruce Free on here again because we've seen that that's failed dismally every time I've tried it on this project for some reason. But noise reduction, do you put it first or last? So it's kind of the same question about your EQ. So you'll notice that the noise gate goes at the front, and that has to go at the front. In fact, I don't think you can even move it. No, you can't move it because the whole point of that is that you want to gate the noise before it hits any other processing. There's no point using your compressor or your EQ or any other effect on the noise that you're then going to try and remove. Makes no sense. Some people think the same thing about EQ, in fact. So here I've got the EQ on this guitar. I'm EQing this after I've done all the processing. So after I've added compression, after I've added all the sounds. There's some people that say, actually, Pete, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you put your EQ up to the top? Can't put it ahead of the noise gate. Why wouldn't you put your EQ up to the top? So you're removing any of the frequencies and you're only processing the frequencies that you want to use. And the same argument can be made for noise reduction. If you were to add Bruce Free to this, I've got to be careful because it wasn't working before. But if you add Bruce Free to this, oh man, it's right at the top. Pete, B, it comes right after A, buddy. Get your stuff together. So Bruce Free here, and if we tap on this, then what was my point? Yeah, we tap the edit button. You might say, well, actually, it makes more sense to remove the noise first before you then do your EQ and your compression. Because why would you want to EQ it, compress it, and then remove the noise at the front? But the other side of that argument is, what if instead of this, actually, let's just go to a track where we can use multiple effects. What if instead of this, we had other plugins in here? Let's say you put like a chorus on here, and you added like another effect here, an overdrive effect, for instance. What if they were introducing unwanted noise to your signal? Well, then you'd want to make sure that your noise reduction was at the very end of the chain to make sure that it was removing any of that. So it really comes down to personal preference. If you've got a noisy signal and you want to make sure everything's removed before it goes through your effects chain and your processing, stick Bruce Free or whatever you're using up the front there. If you want to have all of that processing and then have Bruce Free as one final little check and balance, you can pop it down there. And you know what? You can get all fancy schmancy on yourself and you can put two instances in here, yeah? You can put Bruce Free at the front, reduce the noise, and then put Bruce Free again at the end to reduce the noise you've created after the noise reduction. So there you go. Yeah, hopefully that helps you out. But it's trial and error and it's personal preference, to be honest. Just go with try both ways. And it's the same thing. Try both ways with your EQ. If you've always EQ'd at the end, just try it on a track. Try EQing at the start and see if it makes you sound better. Because, again, unlimited retries here, people. We're in a digital system. You're not paying a mixing engineer by the hour. It's you and your time. So if you think trying something new may help you out, go your hardest. Just get it done. Alrighty, let's continue on here. This isn't really a question, but should I change my YouTube name? Is it stupid? I don't know. It depends if anything you do has anything to do with Nerfer, planets, and 16. If it does, cool. If it doesn't, change your name. Yeah, go for it. Let's move on. So thank you for your question, Martin. Let's go to the next one in the form. Once again, if you're just joining us here, there is a form pinned at the top of the chat. That's the best way to get your question answered because I can't always see the questions in the chat. I do try to get to them from time to time, but if you put them in the form, they'll be there. Question from Orchestra Eclipse. Hello to you. Is there a way to convert an MP3 file to a MIDI file? MP3 file to a MIDI file. This is a good question. I don't know. I have never done it. I've never really had the inclination to do it. So what you're basically asking is, if you've got an audio file or an audio track, how do you turn that into MIDI note information? Now, is something like MIDI Guitar 2, that's the technology we're talking about here, yeah? So if you haven't played with MIDI Guitar 2, Jade Star has done a whole show on it, and I'm sure other folks have as well. Let's come over here. We'll go away from our USB, not USB, our tape adapter. We'll go Jade Star, and what were we talking about? I've had a mental blank. We were just talking about it a second ago. Let's go ahead to the question. MP3, yeah, so MIDI Guitar 2. So Jade has done it there, MIDI Guitar 2. Now, I don't know if within that, if you can actually import audio or if you can only use your guitar. Because what that does is it takes your guitar and it actually turns it into MIDI, hence the name MIDI Guitar 2. So it's clear that there is an algorithm available that can actually do that can change your audio into MIDI. I haven't used it, and I'm sure that if that's possible, that there must be other apps that can actually do it. I'm going to throw this one to the chat here, to the folks on Facebook and YouTube. Does anyone have any ideas for apps or processes that they've used in the past? There's also like websites that do audio file transfers and transcoding and converting. I don't know if any of those work that well, and I don't know if they do audio to MIDI. But yeah, it would be handy if you say you had an audio file. I mean, the problem is it would be very difficult. So the MIDI guitar just takes one note at a time, yeah? If you had like a complete arrangement and it had to try and detect and pick up every note with a bunch of different instruments, I think at that point you'd be dreaming, being able to turn like a full arrangement into MIDI. But that being said, and Jade, I'm almost sure you sent me one of my songs as a MIDI file one time with some weird conversion thing, and it sounded like some sort of hell demon computer was redoing it, because it kind of got a weird vocal sound by using a bunch of MIDI instruments. So if anyone's got ideas, drop them in the chat, and we will provide those. There you go. Got to change my name. There you go. We'll try and find that. All right, we'll continue on here, but yeah, I'll keep checking the chat, and if anyone has any ideas, then let me know. I'm going to go to the next question here. Actually, you know what I should do? I should search MP3 to MIDI in YouTube. Oh look, there's people that actually have videos on this. Maybe we need to watch some of these. How to convert it, free, no software. So that one's probably showing one of the websites. Audio to MIDI online tool. Who's that from? Oh, that's from Studio Hacks. There you go. How to convert audio to MIDI online. Easy tutorial. So there's clearly ways to do it. I just have never tried it. So there you go. I always say this is what we do. This is why I do this show, because it just gives me so much information. You folks ask questions, and then I learn things, and then we find out other things. Audio and quantizing, any advice? So as in audio files. In GarageBand, there is no quantizing for your audio files, and I think we covered this in a recent show. But yeah, so when you're quantizing in GarageBand, you can quantize things like this bass because it's just MIDI note information. You can come here to track settings, go to quantization, and you can actually add your quantization there. On an audio track, you don't have the same thing, because under your track settings, you've just got your recording, your multi-take recording mode there. So unfortunately, GarageBand isn't smart enough to work out with a track like this where the transients are. So it doesn't know where each thing is. It's just dumb audio. It's just ones and zeros of the actual analog audio converted to digital. It doesn't know where each note starts and finishes. Therefore, it can't do any sort of quantization on an audio track, only, unfortunately, on a MIDI track. And Alex has got a cheeky answer here. He says, in order to change audio to MIDI, I listen to the audio and play it on a MIDI instrument. Yeah. And look, I'm sure you could do that. Go to Fiverr. I'm sure there's people that will play you a song and make it Fiverr. Make it on Fiverr. Let's continue on and go to our questions. So that was next one comes from Joe Glenn. Says that relates to DistroKid. When posting a traditional song, the form states to put it as original or traditional. Shouldn't there be an option on the form for traditional arranged by? Also, can I put trad R in the artwork? Good questions. These are all good questions, and they're probably ones that you'll need to go to DistroKid with. I've not ever done for the reasons of complexity, because yeah, it does say, look, if it's a traditional arrangement, you're not breaching any copyrights for traditional songs, and you can record them and release them, and you don't have to classify them as cover songs because they're traditional songs. They're part of the public domain. However, the actual logistics around that of how you put them in, I've never done one. Maybe I need to do one. Maybe that's the thing I need to do. I would be really careful. I would avoid it on your artwork, because not so much DistroKid, but Apple Music and places like Spotify are really clear on the fact that they don't want any text on your album artwork that isn't your name and the name of the song. Now, you could argue that the trad or like that is part of the title of the song, because you're giving acknowledgement to the fact that it's a traditional arrangement. But I don't know if that would be the case. And I think, did you say in your comment here if they had guidelines around that? The form states to put as original or traditional. Yeah, shouldn't there be an option in the form, i.e. trad R by? Yeah, good question. You know what, I'm happy to help out and to try and find the answer for you. If you reach out to me, I can reach out to DistroKid, but I would go directly to DistroKid so that you can get the answer from them. If you do have questions, by the way, about releasing with DistroKid, I've put together an FAQ on my webpage. So if you I'll just go there now. If you go studiolivetoday.com/DistroKid. That is the website, and that will take you straight to this page here, and it's my DistroKid FAQ. So you've got just the basic information about DistroKid there, the link to the support center. I'm already a subscriber. Sorry, I've cleared my cache recently because when I'm searching for things here, and I haven't undone it. You can watch the video about my 10 most asked questions, and then there's my release checklist, and then the top 10 questions that I get. And it does cover some of the titling and some of the other things. But what I would do is, number 10, how do I contact them directly? So there's a link right there to contact them. This will take you straight into the request form, and you can come in here and ask about that. So I would go there and go, what would it be? Upload processing issues. I'd go with that one. Capitalization, stylization issues. And then, then you get the option there to email us. So as long as you choose something here that brings up this email us option, then you'll be able to go and contact them directly. So it gives you a bit of information there, but you can come in and email them. And they're usually pretty good. Sometimes if they're busy, it'll take a few days for them to get back. But more often than not, you'll get a response within about 48 to 72 hours. Hello, Doug, from the sound test room. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Again, I mentioned it earlier, but congratulations on getting your setup cracking along. Yeah, you got your Ethernet cable plugged in, you've removed the buffering, and you got stereo thanks to what's the name of the app? I've forgotten it too. Streamlabs. We were chatting with Doug because he's been having this issue where the YouTube like the YouTube app from your mobile device, even when you've got stereo audio plugged in via Lightning, it will stream out as mono. Now that's super handy if you've got like a 2-channel interface and you've got your mic plugged into one channel, because it will sum that over and make it mono, so it's not just on the left or the right. But if you want actual stereo, if you're playing a keyboard, you want your bloody stereo. So the actual YouTube streaming app won't allow that. So what we recommended to Doug, and if you're having the same problem, we can recommend to you, because Doug's got it working now. I don't actually have it here. I don't have it on this iPad, but I'll bring it up so you can take a look at what we're talking about. It is this one here. It is Streamlabs, the live streaming app. So what you can actually do with this is that you can actually broadcast to a lot of places. In fact, if you go with their premium version, you can do what I do here with StreamYard. In fact, it's very similar to that, but you can do it all from mobile. So you can see that you can actually stream directly. You can stream either your face or your camera, or you can stream your screen as well, and you can stream directly out to YouTube or Facebook or Twitch, and you can do it all from your phone. And we've discovered you can do it with stereophonic sound. So they are all good things, and super pleased for you, Doug, that you got that. I know that was creating some stress, and you know what? Yeah, you can't demo all those lush synth sounds when all you hear is mono. You need to have that stuff bouncing around in your head. So well done and good stuff. Let's move on. Got a couple more questions here, and we've got about 15 minutes left in the show. And I do need to rest my voice. Got a happy hour today. I was at a wedding last night, and you know what it's like when you're in a loud environment and you're having to talk. You kind of have to raise your voice. So I've kind of strained my voice a little bit. So I definitely need to rest it between now and the happy hour in 3 hours time? Yeah, because we're doing it late today. So I've only got 3 hours to recover and drink a whole lot of water. And Joe Glenn's got another question here. Yeah, when submitting audio files to DistroKid, 9 out of 10 times they fail. They look good to me. Help. Is there an update on that, Joe, from when you put this question in? Because I did see you post on the Create, Record, Release group about something similar that you did get there. I know you buckled and went over to your PC as well at one point and did it from there. But I think you said that the latest time you tried it uploading, if you're not sure what we're talking about here, we're talking about uploading from a mobile device. So DistroKid, of all the great things that they do, and full disclosure, they are a channel sponsor here on Studio Live today. Of all the great things they do, not having a mobile app is a little bit of a hamstring. So we've been working hard to find out exactly what you need to do to get the most successful uploads using your iPad or your iPhone. And we've worked out you need to use Safari in desktop mode. You need to have your album artwork 3000 by 3000 JPEG saved into your camera roll. And you need to, what was the third thing? You needed to upload your audio file as a WAV file, but on your iPhone or iPad location, just so it's not on the cloud. It doesn't have to download or anything like that. So those three things seem to be the key things that we need to get it working out. Joe says, some, not all. Yeah, I think we'll just continue working on it, yeah? We'll just continue working on it. Question from Jade. Where's somewhere to go in the dead streets of Adelaide on a Sunday morning whilst I have to wait 4 hours till my room's available? Yeah, good luck with that. Adelaide doesn't open on a Sunday morning till about 10 o'clock, which you're not far away, in fairness. You've got a couple of hours. If you want somewhere to get like a bite to eat and a coffee and stuff, the place, like most cities in the world, the place that's open 24 hours a day and you can usually get something is the casino. Airports and casinos, right? They're the two places where you can go all time. So yeah, if you need somewhere to drop in, it's, I don't know, is it raining out there? It's cold, but I don't think it's raining today. I think all the rain got out of the way yesterday, Jade, so you should be good to go. Yeah, and of course, yeah, yeah. I don't know. No, see, when people do that, they're like, oh, where do I go in Adelaide? I'm like, not really anywhere to go because the city doesn't open on a Sunday till about 10 o'clock in the morning, which is better than it used to be. It used to just be closed the entire day. So you've had an improvement on that. All right, let's grab our next couple of questions here. Excuse me. Danny Broderick has a question. Pete, what's your favorite synth app on iOS? Ooh, what a good question. And you're asking a non-synth guy my favorite synth app. So we'll start with that. I think you need to ask, we got Doug here, we got Joe, we got Jade. I think you should be asking those folks what their favorite. I'd love to know that. Yeah, Doug, Sound Test Room, what is your favorite app? Favorite synth app in iOS at the moment? Have you got one? For me, what would it be? What do I like playing around with? Because I don't use synth sounds a lot. But one that is a little bit underrated, I'll just see if I have it on this device, is the Hillman. The Hillman synth from our friends at Clevgrand. I'll give them some love because Bruce Free didn't work before, and I'm feeling bad because Bruce Free's never failed me before. Sorry, I've opened the app. It's an AUV3 app, so it's not going to work in here. Let's go over to GarageBand and open it. Yes, I'd like to monitor my audio, please. I'd like to come in here. So the Hillman, if you've not used it before, let's go to External and Audio Unit Extensions and jump into the Hillman. It's just a really nice, lush synth sound with some nice presets, but some really simple settings. So if we come in here, let's just go like to the organ, like a classic sort of organ sound here. Just really nice, like without playing with anything, without needing to know anything about oscillators and defibrillators and whatever the other synth guys know, you can just get some good sounds. Really nice pads in here too, so some nice soft voices. Just really good expression in these. Like, and I'm only playing it on the keyboard here. I don't even have my keyboard plugged in. And the string sounds in this one, again, they're synth strings, but they sound really cool. Let's grab these violins here. So I think in terms of versatility, and if you're just getting into it and you just want something that's going to have, similar to Alchemy Synth, but kind of has a more mellow feel to it, I think you could do a lot worse than grabbing the Hillman synth. And of course, if you want to get in and play with, you know, your envelopes and your attacks and your releases and all your other settings, you can play to your heart's content and dial in your own sounds. But you can also just grab a preset and chuck it on. So that's one that I think is probably a little bit underrated. If I'm grabbing a synth and I'm going to have a play around with it, I'll probably reach for the Hillman by Clevgrand. And what does it cost? I think it's about a $15 or $20 app. It's usually the case with Clevgrand. They do have sales from time to time, so you can almost always pick it up for a bit of a cheaper price. Jade's saying pure synth is great. There you go. If anyone else has any, Jeff Bryce says Magellan 2 is pretty good. There you go. So if anyone else has their favorite synth app, Tom Rochelle, yep. Favorite synth app is Cauldron by Yonak. Haven't tried that one, but Yonak makes some good stuff. So I reckon that's a good thing. Let's see. Synth Master 1. Yes. You really can't go past Synth Master 1, can you? Yeah, a heap of good options. You know what you need to do? Just go to the sound test room and type in synth iOS and then just spend the day watching Doug fiddle with every synth on the planet. And I'm sure you'll find one that you'll love by doing that. Yeah, Synth 1. Lot of love for Synth 1 as well. Alrighty. Favorite synth is Mini Moog. There you go. Do people say Moog or Moog? Mini Moog? Mini Moog. It's actually Moog, isn't it? That's the proper pronunciation, but I think everyone, including me, says Moog. Synth Master, Russ. Russ loves the Synth Master. There you go. Good stuff. Capsulam, welcome to you. Capsulam, someone else who does own a hoodie. They're comfy, aren't they? Like, I only got mine because I hadn't bought one of the hoodies that I actually sell, and I'm like, you know what? It's winter time, coming into winter here in Australia, and if I'm going to tell people to buy these hoodies, I've got to buy one myself. And of course, the whole family then wanted one, so I was set back 4 hoodies. But if you do want one as well, then do that. Capsulam, hi Pete. I like the app you use when you're streaming and mirror your iPad screen, but is it possible to use it with a cable from iPad to PC? Yes, it is. So what you need to do that if you want to stream. So what I'm using is Reflector 3. So I use StreamYard, which is the reason I can throw the chat up here and I can do all the fancy multi-screen things. I've got 2 screens here. The screen I'm pointing at here has the StreamYard app on it, and the screen over here has my iPad mirrored to it, which is what you're seeing here. And the reason I can get that up there with pretty low latency is because I use the app called Reflector 3. It's available for PC and Mac, and it lets you reflect your iPhone or your iPad screen over onto your Mac or your PC that's running the app. The other way to do it is that you can get yourself an HDMI capture card. I know you're a gamer, Capsulam, so you're probably familiar with these things. An HDMI capture card, and then either a Lightning to HDMI adapter. The problem is, though, to do this, so I showed you before that the adapter that I use here, the USB-C adapter, has HDMI and it also has USB. Unfortunately, the Lightning to HDMI output only has HDMI. There's no way with a Lightning-based iPhone or iPad to be able to send out your video and also use USB audio devices. So that makes it super limited. That's why originally, when I didn't have the iPad Pro, I always used Reflector, because if I wanted to, say, send my screen like I'm doing here now, I wouldn't be able to send any audio except for the internal audio of the iPad. And the way I do it is I actually route that audio back in through my mixer, and I couldn't do that with the old setup, because all you'd be able to get audio, but all you would get is the HDMI output, which would be the internal audio. So you'd still hear that, but that would be going directly into the PC, as would the video. That you then couldn't add a MIDI keyboard, you then couldn't add a USB microphone, and of course for me, I couldn't add an audio interface. So if I was trying to show people how to record things, it was really difficult to do. Now, with the USB-C connection with the iPad Air 4 or an iPad Pro, you can actually do it because you can use the USB-C adapter that has HDMI out, as well as USB and other stuff. So, yeah, hopefully that helps. How many plugins do I have? As 10 to the power of 100,000 plugins. I got a lot of plugins, and the thing is, I don't even have them all installed. I actually have too many plugins, I know. Welcome to first world problems with Pete. But there's actually not enough time to check out the plugins that I want to. The reason that I don't do reviews of synth apps and other apps is A, Jade and Doug and a bunch of other folks do those, and B, I just don't have the time. Like, it's a time-consuming thing. And even if I just get in there and play around with them, there's a learning curve with these things. So if I want to get a sound, I'll find an app and I'll use it. I'm more of a practical kind of guy. I know there's plenty of folks that just love getting new toys and playing and having a fiddle, but for me, I'm like, I want to make this song, I need this sound. I'll go out and find an app that has that. And then if I dig it, then I'll review it and do it on the channel here. All right. So did I answer that? Favorite synth app? Yeah, Hillman. I just like it. I just dig it. So there you go. And you've got some other options from the pros here in the chat as well. I think this is our final question, unless we have any others. If you do have a question, what have we got? We got 5 minutes, so this will be the final question. And this is from Henry. Do you have a tip for me? I started YouTube 2 days ago. Do I have a tip for you if you started YouTube 2 days ago? Yes, that is that YouTube is a marathon and not a sprint. There is no hack or secret sauce or cheat code or way to get popularity or to get a lot of views or subscribers without just putting in the work. So it's very similar to music. Whatever you're doing, the reason that I say create, record, release, and that's the best way to actually improve is that the best way to get good at something is to do it over and over again. It's rinse and repeat. It's practice, and practice makes progress. I was talking about this the other day. I'm like, someone said your next hoodie should have practice makes progress on it, and maybe it should. But yeah, practice doesn't make perfect, but it makes progress. So if you look at, again, the folks that are in this channel, if you look at Jade, you look at Doug, and you look at myself, it's not like we went one day, right, we want to be YouTubers. So we just put out a video, and then, people have this perception that, all you got to do is get that one hit. You get that one viral video and that's it. It's not that way for most people. For 99.5% of people out there, it's just about documenting your experiences, putting videos out, and keep in mind, your first videos will be your worst videos. Just like music, your first songs will generally be your worst songs. Now, they might have some cool elements to them, and you might, hit a home run by accident early on, but generally, you need to learn. And you need to learn and do different things and try different things and experiment. So the tip for anyone doing anything new is to practice, to keep doing it. And the people who actually are successful are those who are consistent. So consistency is key, over and above just jumping in and doing little bits here and there. If you can find a way to be consistent and consistently doing something for a long time, then you're actually going to get really good at it. And tip number 2 is maybe don't do a gaming channel. I know, I feel bad at saying that, but look at what other people are doing. There's saturation in some places, and more so than that. And when I say that, like, if you love something, like let's say you love playing a particular game, then yeah, do a gaming channel on that if you're on YouTube. But really think about why someone would watch your stuff over anything else. What are you bringing that's unique or different? So what approach do you have? And the other thing is, if you're not passionate about what you're talking about, you probably tell that I'm pretty darn passionate about creating music and about mobile creation. And that comes through in what I say. But if I started a cryptocurrency channel tomorrow, I wouldn't be here going, yay, man, the blockchain is awesome. How about those NFTs? Because I have no passion for that. I don't care. So jumping onto the new hotness is something that, I saw it a while ago, a couple of years ago. Everyone was making trap beats. And I'm like, that's cool. If you totally dig trap music, make trap beats till the cows come home. But if you're making trap music because everyone else is making trap music, maybe you should go make some country tunes. Maybe you should go do some funk. Maybe you should go do something different. So, yeah, that is what I have to say about that. And as Jade says, very, very, very fitting here. We'll finish on this one. Ask yourself why when you start a channel. Exactly. Start with why. Why are you doing it? Because you know what? If you're doing it for fun and experience, you've already won. If you're not doing it to put a roof over your head and to make money and to be famous, and you're doing it because you want the experience of creating videos and putting them out there, then do it, put a big tick next to it and say, done, job done. I think a lot of folks just put too much pressure on yourself because it's like, oh, I want to be like, and that's the other thing, comparisons, trying to be like everyone else. That can be really tough too, because you're not going to be the best PewDiePie, but you're going to be the best you. Jade Star's not going to be the best Doug Woods, but she's the best Jade Star. So think about that when you're working out why you should do it, or why did I do this, right? Or ask yourself why not. Sometimes you just got to say why not and throw and say I'm going to experiment and do something and have fun. All right, we will finish in about 1 minute. Let's round things out here. Thank you again for being here. Once again, we were brought to you by Studio Live today. I'm sponsoring my own show today here. But yeah, if you do want to, look how comfy and cozy these hoodies look. If you do want to support the channel, that's a cool way you can do it, and you get something in return, yeah? So whether you buy a mug for about $10, you get a t-shirt for like 15, or the hoodie, which is I think 20, 25, depending where you are in the world. Yeah, you will be helping out. I keep the prices low so that you folks can get some comfy, cool gear at decent prices. So studiolivetoday.com/merch if you want to pick something up and be cool like our friend Capsulam and like I now am. Here's another way you can support me without folks like Alex Backus, who supports me with super chats. This is what we would look like. Oh, no, we can't see you, Pete. But thanks to wonderful people like Alex, then we can keep the lights on here at Studio Live Today Studios. There you go. Had to do the joke at least one time. Before we finish up, hope you have a great day, everyone. I will join you for the happy hour, which is kicking off in 3 hours' time. We're doing a request show again, so bring along your requests. We'll have a bunch of songs down in the description, and you'll be able to choose from those and get your songs played on the show. And as I always say, no one's taken me up on this, but I'm like, you know what? Throw a super chat out there. You can put me on the spot. Challenge me to learn something live, and we'll see if we can play it. As long as it's a song that I actually know and have some recognition of, then we can do that. Alrighty, folks, thank you for being here. As we say at the end of every show, please be kind to yourselves, be kind to others, keep creating, and rock on.